Hey everyone, Kyle here. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain a little bit. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so much more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm. They'll have everything you need all in one place. I can speak from my experience. It's been awesome so far and super easy. So go check it out, guys, and we'll see you later. All right, welcome everyone to episode 20. Can't believe we're at 20 episodes now. This has been quite the journey so far, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the future with this. But nonetheless, 20 episodes in, I'm having a ton of fun with it and really enjoying all the conversations I'm having. I hope the listeners are as well. But yeah, so today, again, every 5 episodes, I'm going to share one of my own stories. This time, I am going to share about my time going to Finland, Estonia, and Russia, which was an amazing experience that I had, such a great opportunity that I had through my college, San Diego State University. And let's jump into it here. So I went to Finland, Estonia, and Russia back in December and January. So December of 2016, January 2017, and it was quite the experience. I was really excited to go to Russia because it's such a unique place. Obviously, there's a ton of history there. A lot of art and cultures come out of Russia, and it's a really unique country with a unique history, and one that we kind of look at in a maybe weird light in the U.S. Especially we got conflicts going on right now with that, which is a whole other thing. But that was, for me, that was a huge, I was really attracted to go to Russia because it is such a unique place with so much history. And I went, so this trip came about because I have a minor, or I was working towards a minor in international studies through San Diego State University. And as part of that, I needed to do a couple study abroad programs. So the first one I did was the Guatemala trip that I did as a freshman. And then the second one was this trip to Estonia and Russia. So we spent a week in Estonia and then a week in Russia altogether, or roughly around there. So we started. I started the trip out by first. I had to fly by myself over there, and so because it was over Christmas break, and so everyone on the trip was coming from different places. So we started the trip out by. I flew to London from Seattle, and then I flew to Helsinki, Finland, which is right across the water from Estonia. And so we're going to look at the map here. So Helsinki is right across the Baltic Sea from Talin, which, again, I apologize if I'm butchering it. I don't remember the pronunciation anymore. I think it's Talin. If not, I apologize. So it was easier to fly into Helsinki, which I also wanted to go to Finland, to have another country, as well as, explore Finland. And so I was in Helsinki for a couple days before the trip started. And I started out, also this was in the wintertime. Like I said, it was like the end of December and then the start of January 2017. And so it was pretty wild because, being that far north, it really didn't get light for very long. I remember it, I was walking around at like 10 o'clock in the morning and the sun was just barely coming up at that time, which was really weird for me to experience. That's the first time I ever really experienced that. And it got dark at like 4:30 or 4 o'clock. So it was kind of wild. But yeah, so I spent a couple days in Helsinki. I first went to, and I walked around a lot. It was actually a really fun city to walk around, even though it was pretty cold. Let me get my pictures up here. Let's see. Where'd they go? Okay, yeah. So I started out the morning. There's this really cool chapel. It's like in the middle of this square, and it's this round or kind of like ovalish building, and it's just a small chapel that you can go in. And so I went in there to start off the morning, kind of did a reflection, and just kind of was appreciating where I was right now. And then I went to, there's a big church. Well, there's lots of churches. Went to a church there, which I ended up getting a little souvenir that is a replica of that church. And I apologize, I don't remember all the names and locations of each place I went to. I'm gonna try to look here, see if I can find these things. Okay, so I went to Senate Square, which is where this church was. It's beautiful place. Definitely recommend stopping in there if you're ever in Helsinki. Went in there, and then I walked around kind of right on the water there. It was about a block from the water, and then kind of the main streets go up from the water. And so I walked around a little bit, and let's see, what else did I see here? I really loved being in Finland, Estonia, Russia at this time because of all of the Christmas markets and all the Christmas lights and everything. Everything was lit up, everything was decorated. They had the Christmas markets in the town squares everywhere. It was really a unique experience, and I really thought it gave you the actual experience of being in those types of places. So yeah, I walked around the main street. There's lots of cool statues, lots of old buildings, beautiful ornate churches. Yeah, let's see here. What do we got? I know I went to this church in Helsinki that is, it's like a church that is carved into this rock. I'm going to try to find a picture of it somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'll have to share these pictures on the Instagram page. But yeah, it's this church that was built kind of into this rock, and so it's got a dome over it that was built, but it's just kind of carved out of this rock here, and it's unique. It's unique. It's a interesting place. It'd be a crazy place to have church at. I really enjoyed seeing that. And then I went to the the Finnish History Museum. Let's see. It was, looking at Google Maps here. I believe it's the Finnish History Museum. Can't find it on the map. Anyways, the museum, all about the history of Finland. Lots of beautiful art in there, statues, etc. Definitely gave a good overview of Finland, of the history. It was just a nice place to go visit and get a little bit of the culture and history of the place. Let's see, and then I just walked around. There's a lot of churches, like I said, a lot of beautiful buildings, and then I went to so I took a ferry across the Baltic Sea. I think it was about an hour and a half or so ride across the Baltic Sea to Talin, into Estonia, where I met up with the group, and we started our trip. So we didn't really explore Talin at all. We didn't do that until we came back. We got on a bus and went to this town called Tartu, which is kind of in the middle of the country, more towards the southeast, sort of in the middle of the country there, and real small town. It's known for the university there, which is where we had some of our classes. But we went there, we had dinner, had borscht there, which is a good dish to have. Definitely warms you up on a cold winter night. And while we were there, so we had classes during the day, which the program was really about like Russian relations with the Baltic states, and how it kind of differs on each side of that border. So it was kind of interesting to see or to learn, how the Estonians felt about Russia, and then going to Russia and seeing how they felt about Estonia and the West. Definitely a different dynamic. I took away that Estonians are definitely very wary of Russians, being right there, being oppressed under the Soviet Union. It was kind of crazy to hear some of the stories being under the Soviet Union, what that was like, and then how it is now. Very different, very different cultures now. But they're very kind of tentative, a little bit nervous with their relationship with Russia. And they were excited to be an independent nation these days. So we walked around there. I know we got a tour of the city. There's a beautiful town square there in Tartu, and it had Christmas tree. It was all lit up. The building, there's a really cool building. I think it's the city hall that was all lit up. Super beautiful, and I'll definitely post pictures of that as well. I'm looking at one right now. It's so beautiful, really lit up. So we had our classes there, and then other things we did in Tartu. We went to the Estonian National Museum, which I really liked. Again, gave a lot of the history, a lot of the culture, and I really liked it. It was kind of funny. It's built on an old Soviet airfield, so kind of interesting there. But it's a beautiful building with a lot of great history there. Definitely worth checking out. And let's see what else. We saw a bunch of statues, a lot of great statues. Let's see. What do we do? One of the things that I learned while I was there, and there's I think there's a movie on this. I remember us checking out part of it when we were there. But it talks about how the Estonian people like to sing, and people in the Baltic states like to sing. And they kind of used singing as a form of protest and a way to essentially gain their freedom from the Soviet Union. You might have heard about how they made what was it called? The human chain, where they all linked arms across the three Baltic states there. and they just sang and just kind of showed solidarity with each other. It's a pretty crazy story. Definitely would recommend Googling it, checking it out. And it was just really interesting to learn in depth about that. But yeah, kind of amazing to be there, to be learning about, what it was like only 30 years ago, being as part of the Soviet Union versus how it's changed in the last 30 years, to what it is today, being part of the European Union, part of NATO, part of all of that, and how, their culture has changed with that change in influence, I guess. Let's see. And one of the coolest things, though, while we were there was that, like I said, we were there in December and January. So I actually got to spend New Year's Eve in Tartu, in the town square with the Christmas tree and all the lights. And then they had fireworks. And that was just an incredible experience to be there during that time. One of the most unique experiences in my life. It was incredible to be in that moment and just really take in where I was at. It was also fun to make the joke of, telling my parents, Happy New Year's from the future, because they were, I think, like 11 hours behind me or something in terms of time change. But that was a great night. Had a ton of fun. Definitely partied Estonian style. But it was awesome, an experience I'll never forget. And then the next day we had some free time. We just kind of hung out. I explored the city a little bit. And then the day after that, we drove to Russia. So we took a bus into Russia, and I think it was about an hour to the border. We crossed the border at Narva, which is up in the very northeast corner of Estonia, which that's the town I'd like to go back and explore if I had the chance. It looked really cool from what I saw. But we crossed the border there, and that was a pretty intense border crossing. One, it was dark. It was early in the morning. We were all tired, and I remember I believe it was the Estonian Border Patrol. They got on the bus, told us, we all had to get out, leave your bags there. You can't take anything with you other than your passport, essentially. We all got out. They checked the bus, make sure we, didn't have anything. They had the drug dog, that sort of thing. We go into the building where you went through customs. And it took a while. It was cold, and again, pretty intense. You had to get a visa. We had to get a visa in advance, in advance of this whole trip, like 2 months in advance, to even be able to be allowed into Russia. So we got I remember getting up to the window. The Russian Border Patrol person asked for the passport, combed through the visa, made sure it was all okay. Got that Russian stamp in my passport, which was amazing. And then we all made it through there. And the Russian side, the Russian agents went through. They checked on their side for any drugs or bombs or whatever. And then I remember we all got back on the bus, and then they checked our passports again to make sure we had the stamp, make sure we were all good to go. We were who we were supposed to be. So it was very intense. It was a long process. I remember it taking like at least an hour for sure, if not longer. And then we drove through the dark, all the way through the Russian countryside, all the way to St. Petersburg. So all in all, it was like a 7 or 8 hour journey. It took a while to get there, but we got there in the morning to St. Petersburg, and it was amazing to say I was in St. Petersburg, Russia. Okay, so we ended up in Russia, in St. Petersburg, and this was an incredible time. Like I said, there's so much history there. It was just amazing. It was so unique. One of my favorite travel experiences was being there. I know when we first went there, we went to a large art museum, which had a lot of really unique, really Russian in Soviet era art and sculptures and all that sort of thing. It was amazing. Not even going to try to pronounce that. I don't understand the Russian language at all. But we walked around. It was snowing. It was cold. It definitely felt like Russia when I was there, which I really enjoyed. I really liked being there in the wintertime, even though it was insanely cold. I think with the wind chill, we averaged like -20. I think the coldest they got was like -30 when we were there. It was pretty brutal. We didn't want to walk around a lot at night, which was most of the time because it was dark out most of the time. But yeah, again, it was all lit up for all the Christmas markets, which was awesome. I really enjoyed seeing all the lights. I know we went to a lot of great Russian churches, very ornate, very beautiful. They got the round spires on the top. Yeah, just beautiful. And I went to the Bronze Horseman statue, which we ended up getting to see that ballet as well, which was incredible to see a Russian ballet in this beautiful theater there. I really enjoyed that as well. Even though ballet is not really my thing, it was pretty amazing to be there and see that, and the performers were amazing. Let's see, what else did we do here? Bronze Horseman. We went to Catherine's Palace, which is amazing. This, beautiful blue palace, and every room in there is ornate. It's beautiful, so over the top, just full of all sorts of very expensive, very well made things. There's a whole room that was made out of amber, which is insane. Amber's a big thing there in Russia. They have a lot of it there. They make a lot of things out of amber. One of my favorite souvenirs is actually, I got it at Catherine's Palace at the gift shop there. It's a little tiny ball that's meant to look like a globe, and it's on a little like a stand that a globe would be on, so it's tilted a little bit. I'll have to put a picture up as well for that. But it's just this ball of dark orange amber, which is like my favorite color. I love the dark orange, and so it's one of my favorite souvenirs, and I like that it's meant to kind of represent a globe as well. So, yeah, that was amazing. So much history there. We walked around St. Petersburg. We went to an old battleship of theirs with the old guns and everything, which is awesome. Went to the Winter Palace, which is amazing. So much history happened right out front of the Winter Palace. We took a tour through that. I think what was most of it. The palace is humongous, and it took a while to get through the whole thing. But again, very ornate, very over the top. So much beautiful art and architecture, and lots of gold, lots of everything that you can imagine in a beautiful palace. Really enjoyed that. Again, I'll post pictures of some of these things here. So the Winter Palace at night. What else? Yeah, Catherine's Palace. Oh man, these pictures are beautiful. I'm looking at all the pictures on Facebook, which brings back a lot of memories here for me. One of the funny stories while we were there, which I wrote about in my book as well. but we went to, so in 2016 is when Donald Trump was elected, and there was the whole, Russian collusion and, Russia influence in it, in the election and stuff like that. That story was really big at the time. And I remember we went into this gift shop one day in like downtown St. Petersburg and looking for souvenirs. It was a souvenir shop. And first of all, there's a lot of like really funny, just like Putin esque, like Putin's face was on all the mugs and all the all the t-shirts and stuff like that, and just it made him look like a badass. It was kind of funny, but yeah. So we went into that souvenir shop. I got some souvenirs, and as we were all checking out there as a group, the lady could speak a little bit of English, and she was like, "Oh, where are you guys from?" We said, "Oh, from the U.S." She said, "Oh, did you guys vote in the election?" And we were like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Did you guys vote for Donald Trump?" And then I don't think we had said anything, and she was like, "Well, we did." And she had this really just sly grin on her face. It was, she played right into all the stuff that was going on at the time. It was pretty funny. No matter how you feel about that, I thought it was really funny. We all laughed at it. From what I remember, it was a good joke. Anyways, okay, so yeah, we went to a lot of different palaces there. Walked around the city a lot. Yeah, I think that was kind of the bulk of it. We had a few classes there in Russia, and really just explored the city and the history as well. But ton of fun to be there, an experience I'll never forget. So then we went back across the border, back through Narva, and then we ended up going to Talin, which was the last part of our study abroad program. And Talin is this beautiful city right on the Baltic Sea. Definitely a medieval-esque town. It has the kind of the old town center up on the hill with the old buildings. Some of them are still intact there. And then it's kind of a circle to get out of the city. It's not an easy thing to get out of the old town there. But just so unique, so amazing. I loved that town. I think it's one of the coolest towns in the world. But again, they had the Christmas markets there. Beautiful with all the lights, the Christmas trees. I think it was in Finland, when I was exploring Finland on my own, but at some point I went at one of the Christmas markets. I had reindeer, which actually tasted pretty good. But I enjoyed that. Lots of snow on the ground, very cold, very dark. We went to a few museums there. There was one about kind of the Soviet era, what it was like being in Estonia under the Soviet era. Our like kind of farewell dinner, we went to this old kind of theater slash like restaurant, and had a medieval dinner. So we had mead and these old, the old mugs that you would see people clank together on some sort of like Viking show or whatever. Had a lot of traditional like medieval type foods. I can't even begin to remember all of them. But it was a unique meal. It was a good meal. And then we got to watch some performers do some medieval dances and music. And we joined in a little bit as well. So that was a ton of fun. We also got to go to the the U.S. Embassy in Talin, which was an intense thing to get into. It's quite the process to get into a U.S. Embassy, especially there. But it was really interesting to learn all the history there, learn about what the embassy does, what it's like being there as some sort of ambassador to the country that they're in. And yeah, it was just really cool experience. One, I don't think, a lot of people get to experience. Hopefully you don't have to go to the embassy for many issues as you're traveling, but that was fun. I really like that. And it's like a whole, it's an intense process to get into the embassy. It was very blocked off, lots of security. It was like going to the airport, going through the security at the airport, but like even worse. Let's see, what else do we do there? I don't think there's any other things too exciting. Again, I just really liked learning the history. I liked that we took classes while we were there, learning about the relationship between the two countries, how it's changed over the years, and what it's like now. Very, very different perspectives on each side of the border. I think there's different perspectives generationally. The people that grew up under the Soviet Union in Estonia, very wary of Russia. People that didn't live under Soviet rule, not as wary. On the Russian side, it seemed like people that lived during the Soviet Union in Russia were very kind of on board with the Soviet Union and communism, and the younger people were a lot more capitalist and more kind of Western leaning type people. One funny story in Russia. We went to a club one of the nights, and we were at a place there. We definitely stood out, mostly because we were underdressed at this club. We were cold, we didn't have a lot of nice clothes with us on the trip. And we didn't realize how dressed up the Russian people get to go to a club. But that was a ton of fun. It was fun listening to the Russian music. They played some Western music from what I remember, covered some famous songs, but mostly Russian music. And we just had fun hanging out, drinking, dancing. But it was really crazy to see, one, how dressed up everyone was. But I swear every woman that was there was over 6 feet tall, was wearing really high heels, and looked like a supermodel. And then there was all the men there, which, again, were all over 6 feet tall, did not look like supermodels. But it was fun being there. I'm glad that I was in a group for sure. I don't know if I would have felt comfortable at all being there by myself, especially not knowing any Russian whatsoever. But it was fun. And we went to some Christmas markets there as well in Russia, which were amazing as well. Let's see, anything else exciting? Not too much. Went back to Finland for a day and took the ferry back across. There was an ice skating rink out in the town square there in Finland, in Helsinki. And so I went ice skating there with a couple people in the group. That was a lot of fun too. I did not do very well ice skating. It was funny. It had been a long time since I had done that. So I was a little rusty there, but it was fun nonetheless, just to say that I was ice skating in Helsinki. And then I flew back to London, flew back to the US, and that was it. But an amazing experience. Learned a lot, really had a lot of great stories. I loved all the history there. A lot of it's really sad, unfortunately, but it's just incredible to be there. I now seeing what's going on today, seeing what's happened in the last, 10 years, or like 5 years, I would say, with what's happening with Russia and the West and all the politics and whatever. I feel like I have a lot better understanding of it. I think I probably differ from maybe many people here in the US in terms of like how I would feel or how I think we might deal with this, or how we should deal with this conflict. And yeah, it was really, I think it's important when you're traveling I think what I really like about traveling is that you get to experience the different cultures that you're in. You get to experience something like this, like relationships with Russia, how they might feel about a conflict like what's happening right now. You get to hear it from their perspective, the ones who are actually part of it, because they're going to have a different perspective from us over here in the U.S. For something like this. And so I think that's an important thing that we all should do, is travel and really learn the history and the culture of these other places, because not everyone, not every culture, not everyone in the world is going to agree with the American way of life, or see everything from the American perspective. And I really think it is a real issue and a real disservice to the world that, especially here in the U.S., we don't travel a lot. We don't get out and really experience those other cultures and hear their opinions on it. I can tell you that people in other parts of the world pay attention to U.S. politics, and rightfully so. We are very powerful in the world, but in the U.S., I don't think most of us could say anything about any other country's politics other than maybe Russia or China, the two that we hear about. But we have no idea what's really going on in most of the world, or their kind of political leanings or anything like that. And so I think traveling is a really good way to go experience and understand these other cultures better, which is going to give us a better perspective on life and on the world when a conflict like the one right now occurs, and can maybe help us lead to a better outcome than might otherwise happen. So, with what's happening right now, I wanted to talk about this, about my trip, and share all that with you. Traveling's amazing. You got to get out there and explore it. You got to go to these places which are really different from what you are used to. Experience some of these unique cultures, unique history, and it's really going to change your view of the world, I think, and change it for the better. So thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for sticking with me for 20 episodes. That's amazing to say. I remember being at episode 2, episode 3, going, man, I don't know if I can find people to talk about this with me. I don't know if I can keep this going. This is a lot of work. Not sure how to do all of this, but over time I've learned, I've grown, gotten to have a lot of amazing conversations that I never thought I was going to have, and I've gotten to share travel with you, which is really exciting for me. So again, thank you for sticking with me for 20 episodes, and hopefully you stick with me for another 20 and beyond. And I look forward to talking with you all again next time. So have a good one, everyone, and we'll see you somewhere around the world soon. Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify and Anchor. And now you can also listen on YouTube. Links are in the description below. If you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page and or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my new show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to discuss one specific travel topic, whether that be questions I get from listeners, sharing some souvenirs that I've bought over the years, or discussing one particular city or country that I've been to, and so much more. You'll be able to listen to that via Spotify and Anchor as well, and be able to see the video version, which I'm really excited about, on YouTube. So check it out. I promise you won't be disappointed. And thanks again for listening, and I will see you around the world soon.